How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Barely There podcast. It is not Victory Monday, but it is Victory fucking Tuesday, and I'm going to take that. And I'm feeling pretty damn good after what we just saw in Foxborough. Chicago Bears got the 33-14 win. We went to Belichick's house. We took his lunch money. We benched his starting quarterback, and we took a massive, fat dub right in the middle of the field. It was a beautiful thing to watch. Justin Fields played out of his mind. Matt Eberflus is Matt Eberflus, dude. The Eberfuel is flowing. I don't know any other way to put it. But yeah, man, I'm feeling really freaking good about this one, Lucas. I don't know about you, buddy. I don't know if you're a little excited. I don't know if you're feeling a little chipper about it, the old Chicago Bears. But guys like Jaquan Brisker are looking really good. Guys like Kyler Gordon are looking really good. Roquan Smith looks like an all-pro player, but this is stuff we already know. We got 24 first downs to their 12. We killed them in time and possession. This was everything last week should have been in the absolute greatest form. With that all set up, this is the Barely There podcast. Be sure to follow the pod at Barely There Pod. I'm Duke Coughlin. You can follow me at that pod guy Duke on Twitter. As always, I'm joined by that guy Lucas I've been talking about. He's all right. He's all right. Lucas Perfetti at Lucas Perfetti 46. You follow him on Twitter. The Ayatollah of Cap Cola. I don't know any other way to explain him. Lucas, how are we feeling? I'm a little juiced up if you haven't noticed. How you feeling, buddy?
I mean, I feel fantastic. This is the most optimistic the Bears have made me feel this year, and actually for the last like 3 or 4. So I guess what I'm most excited about is that even with a roster that's not that talented, Matt Eberflus has continued to be a man of his word, and being a man of his word really emphasized how important this win was and how important things are going to be moving forward, because realistically you gave him an extra 3 weeks of time, extra 3 weeks. I don't know why I said 3 weeks. You gave him an extra 3-4 days of time to prepare for Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. He said he was going to make some adjustments. I think a huge tell of how a coaching staff is going to be and how they're going to be able to develop talent and cater their scheme to their talent is how they come off of bye weeks. We've seen the polar opposite with Matt Nagy over the last 4 years. Same exact shit you've seen roll out after a bye week. I think Matt Nagy lost every one of his games after a bye week. To see Matt Eberflus say, hey, we're going to go in, we're going to look at the talent, we're going to evaluate what's going on, and we're going to make some scheme changes that fit our personnel. And then to see them march out and put that product out against Bill Belichick, man. I mean, like, we're talking about this guy putting together a game plan, and I don't want to get overhyped, but it's a very, very good sign for the Chicago Bears right now. And, you know, this last game, which has probably been the most complete game of football we've seen in fucking years, dude. But the fact that he was able to do that is a really good tell for the future. It just looked like he was so involved with this win, and it seems like this team has his fingerprints all over it.
Well, Lucas, and I feel like this is something we actually talked about on the last show, or really like the last few, of like, when was Matt Eberflus going to start kind of taking the initiative of like on the offensive side of the football? Like, obviously you don't want your head coach, especially a defensive minded head coach, to have like too much say, I guess, on the offensive side of the football. But like, it really feels like he's somebody who after that Thursday night game, he went and said that there was going to be changes. There was going to be things that we were going to see differently, and there were going to be scheme changes. There was going to be personnel changes. And even early on, obviously, we ended up with Sam Mustipher in the game, but that was a promise that we saw from the very start with a guy like Michael Schofield at left guard and with a guy like Lucas Patrick at center. That shows accountability, and that's something that I really like to see with any head coach. But really, dude, when it comes to Eberflus, like you have to imagine, and we were talking about this, like I said, like it feels like Eberflus had to have been in those offensive meetings this week. In fact, like I would go overboard to say that he was in damn near every offensive meeting over the course of the last 12 days to kind of make sure that all the P's and Q's were there, that everybody's on top of their stuff, that everybody's paying attention, that Luke Getsy's really driving home the type of offensive scheme that he wants to see, and that the play calling is something that is a collaborative effort to be able to get everybody involved. You know, because it really feels like, especially with the designed runs that we saw, with the with some of the with the quick hitting passing routes on early downs early in the game, and some of the deep shots that we ended up taking, especially like when you look at like the Cole Kmet play to down the left side of the sideline. It felt like this was more of an offense built to Justin Fields' strengths. And we saw what that offense can look like when you decide to move the pocket, when you decide to let Justin be able to kind of maneuver what he wants to do over there, when you have an ability to get him to his first read, and when you're able to get him to a check down. Like when I saw that out route to Darnell Mooney, I knew we were in fucking business because we were going back to basics and we were going back to what Justin did insanely well back at Ohio State. Like these are things that Justin has done well from the very beginning. And we got a nice, like, I wouldn't say a complete full showing of what Justin Fields is capable of, because I still feel like we can still raise that bar higher for where we can go, especially with him as a performer. But I think we got a really good taste of what that offense can look like with Justin Fields and the offense firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't know if this is going to be sustained success with this offense, but in terms of growth and progression, yeah, you're seeing Matt Eberflus, Luke Getsy. You got to give him some credit. I know we're not the biggest Getsy guys, but you got to give him some credit. And Justin Fields kind of growing together, right? Like something that we didn't see with our last head coach and our last quarterback that was drafted young that had potential. It just seemed like, I don't know, man. I don't want to go overboard, but it's the best feeling I've had about the Chicago Bears in a very, very, very long time. I just would be extremely excited to see what Matt Eberflus could do with a full, like a roster that's built to its full potential. Hopefully Ryan Poles is able to get that done. And I don't want to get too ahead of things because obviously we're covering this Patriots game. But yeah, man, schematically, you can develop someone that way, right? Like look at Jalen Hurts. We've been talking about this. Let Justin Fields race somebody to the fucking sideline. Like let's get some design runs. Let's get some rollouts. He's a lot better, on the run, specifically because of how his offensive line is performing. Just kept the Patriots off balance. You could tell that they were coming. They wanted to blitz him. They wanted to get him flustered, and they just had blitz beaters. They had built-in structured plays that are blitz beaters that highlighted Justin Fields' skill set. And to me, that's the best way to develop a quarterback. Make him comfortable, make him productive in what he can do very well right now, and then slowly work in concepts and ideas. And I mean, it's not like he was just sitting on his first read. There were multiple times they pointed out in the broadcast, or if you were watching Peyton and Eli, they talked about how he was looking people off, how he was checking multiple reads, how he was coming back. He went from 1-2-1 on that Darnell Mooney play on the sideline, pinned up, where I want to say it was in the third, maybe the second quarter, when they were trying to score. But either way, like there was a couple there where it was impressive. Like, and that's exactly what you want to see. You want to get him confident. You want to get him rolling, get him some points on the board, let him connect, and then start working your other concepts in. It's just, I'm very optimistic right now. And I know it don't seem that way because I've been in meetings since 6:00 this morning, but I've watched the game 3 times already. I watched it directly after, thanks to Duke's password being entered into my YouTube TV, or entered into my Fire Stick.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome for that. And I actually, I did try to watch the regular broadcast last night, but I just found myself enjoying the Peyton and Eli broadcast just so much more. And I honestly didn't think I would, just because like I'm kind of like you, Lucas. Like I need pretty direct calls of the plays. I need really relevant information. And like, while I enjoy jokes and all that, like I need to be able to be in tune. But I thought Peyton and Eli both did a pretty good job at being really on point with Justin Fields. Like anytime Justin was on the field, like all the memes and the jokes and stuff like that, or like anything on Twitter, like that quieted down a lot. Like you would kind of see two guys kind of hone in and really start to look at what this guy is capable of and how the offense is being called, like tailored to his strengths. I thought Peyton gave a guy like Luke Getsy a lot of credit yesterday on the broadcast with how they were kind of utilizing him. I did like Peyton calling out the kind of influx of interior offensive linemen we've been dealing with, because I feel like that's something that needs to get highlighted a little bit more, that Justin doesn't get enough credit for having to deal with. But yeah, overall, man, I thought they did a pretty good job. Just going to the schematic side of things, I thought Getsy did a pretty good job, just kind of really focusing on Fields' strengths. And like I said on the top of the show, man, it felt like he had a little bit more say of what we were doing. Like how often this year do we see a designed run on the first touchdown from Justin, where we got to see Justin string it out, pick a hole, and then just kind of explode through it? Like we haven't seen that at all this year. That's not something that's even been on the back burner at all during the red zone trip. So that's something that I really like being able to see. I really like just being able to simplify things a little bit in the route concepts. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to understand your wide receiver room. You need to be able to understand that these guys are just not fucking world beaters, but that doesn't mean you can't make something work like that. You know what I mean? Ironically, if we're going back to like a past example, like a little bit in the past, like it kind of reminds me of that year where Cam Meredith got injured for the Bears and Jay Cutler was just kind of working with an island of misfit toys at wide receiver, but we were still kind of finding ways to get the ball move and get the ball downfield, and it was because I got to give Adam Gase a lot of credit. He was a guy who kind of simplified the offense and made it a little bit easier for not only his quarterback, but his receivers, because I think a lot of people lose sight of the passing game being kind of a two-pronged attack. It's not just the quarterback having to make those reads and make those throws. It's the receivers having to be in the right spot and be able to break off a coverage. And when you simplify routes that they've been doing most of their life, or you get a guy like Dante Pettis just being able to get him in space in the middle of the field and kind of just find somewhere to go, you get a lot more success. And I think that's a lot of what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you're even seeing some of that with the Packers right now, right? Like Aaron Rodgers has been complaining about how they need to simplify things and, mental mistakes and all that shit. And he's a shitbag, to be honest. He completely threw his entire team under the bus and said he had an incredible game against Washington. But with all that being said, I wanted to check back to your Peyton and Eli comments, because when do they supersede the Monday night actual broadcast? The only reason, I watched the TV copy first. I only watch it for Bears games. Anytime there's a game of a different team, I'll watch Monday night with Peyton and Eli. But because it was the Bears, I wanted to have the full screen. That's the only downside of Peyton and Eli, is that you have their faces, but it's also a double-edged sword, because looking at Eli Manning just stare off into space is a gift in itself. So, but that's why I watched the TV copy. But then I went back and watched, courtesy of Duke's YouTube TV, I watched the Peyton and Eli content, and it's like, okay, they're more knowledgeable. Joe Buck called fucking Justin Fields a 230-pound, 6'3", 230-pound running back.
Disgusting.
I mean, dude, he's literally the only name recognition player we have. Like David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet. Like, you have to learn 6 names when you do a fucking Bears broadcast, and somehow you call Justin Fields a running back. Which is, I don't know. I feel like there might have been intent there. I think Joe Buck plays stupid. He's an asshole either way. But Peyton and Eli, much better in terms of knowledge of the game. They give you a much cleaner version of a John Madden, where Peyton will be BRB, and then he goes and draws up the play on the side. Like, there's a lot of benefits to that Peyton and Eli broadcast. And I feel like they have great guests. You have fucking former President Barack Obama, Bill Burr, and Vince Vaughn. Like, dude, like, it's just a better show. So I really wonder, when will that Peyton and Eli show supersede the Monday Night Football show in terms of ratings?
Well, I personally already think it has. You already know I'm not a Buck and Aikman guy, so like it's a hard sell. And I honestly, like I said, dude, I tried watching like 2 or 3 series with Buck and Aikman, and I'm just like, I can't. I can't do it with these guys. Like, I would much rather listen to Peyton and Eli, even if they're arguing about something stupid. At least like they'll find a way to kind of bring it back around to make it related to the current situation. I do have to say, listening to Bill Burr just fire off like random shots at like the NFL and all like different shit like that was hysterical.
Bill Burr's the best, dude.
I thought it was great how quickly his connection got slowed up when he started bringing up CTE. I thought that was like, oh my God, this is Bill Burr on live TV in a fucking nutshell. Like, any history of Bill Burr on live TV, if you know what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then just to get past this, I think the best comment he made, it was when Peyton had to bring up the fact that the Bears beat the Patriots in '85 when Bill would have been like younger. He's like, well, all right, well, why don't we just bring up the Packers while we're at it? And he's like, why don't we talk about Brett Favre running around the field with his helmet off, smiling like he's a K-pop dance member? And like, dude, the way he just fired off that line nonchalantly, dude, I was dying. So like, I appreciate that little bit of insight. Because like you listen to Buck and Aikman, and while I understand you want to have like a little bit more of the serious experience, and that's why I started there. Like they'll make these weird attempts at comedy and they'll do these weird like half chuckles and it's like, oh my gosh, boys, nobody's laughing with you. Like this
But
is
it's not like you're missing any of the game with the guests. Like they're speaking to the guests in between plays, all that stuff. So like you're still getting grade A, like you're getting live updates, you're getting all the commentary.
dude.
So
Vince Vaughn live commentating Kyler Gordon's first career interception was fucking money. I'm surprised it hasn't been leaked on Twitter or something yet. I'm scared of getting my Twitter account taken down, or else I would have put it up already. But like, dude, they were talking about analytics. I don't remember how the conversation started because I was watching the game, but all of a sudden you see Kyler Gordon get an interception, and Vince Vaughn just jumps into whatever Peyton and Eli are talking about. He's like, how do you explain that with analytics? And it was just fucking incredible. So like, to be able to have that call for your first career interception is really cool. Plus, like the way they broke down fucking Brisker getting hit in the nuts by Mac Jones, like it was great stuff.
hey, honestly, I'm glad you brought that up. NFL needs to look into that because that was intentional. At first, I thought he was just like this uncoordinated jagoff, but there was twice there where he slid and threw his leg up. They're doing everything to protect you, and you cannot be taking shots at people. Maybe it was unintentional, maybe it wasn't, but I personally think Mac Jones is a shitbag now just because of that, and I won't be convinced otherwise. Um, I don't know, man. It looked intentional to me. I think the NFL should look into it.
When you have two guys on the Manning cast who are both self-admitted guys who have never played any position but the quarterback position, calling you out for that play and talking about why people hate quarterbacks when they see shit like that, it means you're being a scumbag. And that was a total disgusting play. And obviously we saw perfect karma like right after that. But before we jump too far back into that, just to kind of close out the Manning cast thoughts, because I thought this one was really important. And it was actually the touchdown we ended up giving up that ended up being like a wide open play. I believe it was like to what Jacoby Harris or something like that.
I thought he twisted somebody's ankle.
Yeah, he did.
There we
That was
go.
last year.
Eddie Money, Mac is dirty as hell. Same guy who twisted Burns' ankle. That's right.
Yeah. Fucking hold on a second. There was one play they broke down insanely freaking well. It was Jacoby Myers. It was a Jacoby Myers touchdown.
Oh, you
And
talking about how they said it happened so fast?
it wasn't even one thing that where it happened so fast. It was the Patriots offense called the exact perfect play for what that coverage ended up bringing, and coverage bit just enough that was going to be a setup play regardless of how that went. Like they read our defense pretty damn well. They went through it, and I thought they did an incredible breakdown. Like if you're going to watch anything from the Manning cast, to go back and watch it. If you're somebody who actually is a little bit like weary of watching the Manning cast, go watch that breakdown, because I thought they broke that down insanely well. They explained why players were so badly out of position, and it kind of shows like two offensive guys that know when an offensive play hits, it doesn't matter what the defense is because that play is just going to hit. And that's a lot of what that Jacoby Myers touchdown was, in all honesty.
Yeah. I mean, it was wide fucking open. But that actually kind of brings up a good point. And if you want to reel it in, I think this is the first time the Bears played in a way to make us proud as a fan base. Like I have not been proud of this team many times in my life, really. A majority of it, I have Bears pride, but the way they play does not make you proud. They made me proud as a fan. Like it gave me a little bit of oomph as a fan. I feel like, not that I'm going to puff my chest out and freak out on people on Twitter, but you're talking about that touchdown, and it's because of Bailey Zappia. And you got to think like the Bears come into this game and get the 10. The momentum's in their favor. They're absolutely destroying Mac Jones. And then, oh no, Bailey Zappia comes in like first couple of plays, he throws a bomb for a touchdown. Then the Bears, I believe they punt after that, or did they turn the ball over? I'm not sure, but either way, they get the ball back. And then again, Zappia throws a fucking bomb. And it's like everyone in the group chat, everyone was thinking it. If you didn't say you were thinking it, you're an absolute liar. We're like, we are fucked, dude. This is like the same old story every single time. But they reeled it back in and weathered the storm. And the way that they started the game and ended and started halves in general was incredible yesterday. And that's what really good football teams do. And that's what really good football coaches instill. I mean, you think about it, that by the time you get to halftime, you not only take back the lead on a drive, it's like I was saying it all over Twitter. Someone needs to make a big play because Zappia comes in, the entire crowd's juiced, and then you take the lead. They should be teeing off on the Chicago Bears right now. And like a couple guys made plays and they cut into the momentum. And then sure enough, they punt, get a 3-and-out or whatever it may have been, are able to get a field goal, then they get that turnover. And I hate to say it, I'm a sorcerer. I said that multiple times. I'm like, dude, a turnover right now would absolutely kill them. They're able to get that other field goal. And then they start off and come down and make it a 2-score game right there. So like, to me, the ability to be a very young team on the road and have it seem like everything is going right. And then just like that, in a 3-minute time span, you're down and your back's against the wall. They responded in a way that reflects the head coach, to be honest. And that's what I kind of was highlighting in the beginning of the show. That is fucking huge, dude. I don't think people understand the actual magnitude of what the Bears were dealing with. You're talking about, there's not a lot of stadiums. They weren't playing against the Rams where it's half Chicago fans, or the Cardinals in December where it's 90% Chicago fans. They were playing in Boston, bro. That's one of the most passionate. That's one of the only true home field advantages, like Soldier Field, like Lambeau Field, like Heinz Field. Like, that is monumental, man. That's so fucking big. I'm sorry if I cut into whatever your plan was for the show, but I had to say that.
No, you're good, Lucas. This is a fluid effort, buddy. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like we're kind of in this together at this point. I mean, I've already shit on your couch. I'm your dog's father, so like we're there on a personal level at this point.
I get it, but I just like, that's like, to me, that was kind of what I was trying to get at the beginning of the show, and I lost my words a little bit. Like, that's growth, man. That's growth as a football fucking team, and I don't care what the talent is. That's growth.
Well, and if we can scale back just a little bit, because I did want to bring it up. After that verse Zappy touchdown, it was the interception the next drive, the Matthew Judon tipped ball.
Okay,
which,
I thought so.
Like I was telling you before the show, and like I was saying on Twitter, like that's just that's an incredible play by Judon. Like, you have to be able to give him credit there.
Field last night.
He's their best. He's probably their best defensive player.
It's funny it's funny that the Ravens need fucking pass rush and they let that guy go.
Yeah,
and he didn't even get a crazy contract either. Yeah.
No, but I mean, to go play with Bill Belichick, it seemed like that's something that kind of checked the box for him. But yeah, dude. So on that play, that's definitely somewhere where like I can live with that. But like, I need a little bit more from Larry Borum the second Judon's arms go up, because like we were taught it. Come on, we had some offensive lineman skills back in the day, Lucas. We were taught day one, the second those hands go up, you have to put that person into the dirt. Like, at that point, they're giving themselves up to you, and you need to destroy them. And that's just not what Larry Borum did. That is what Tevin Jenkins did. Unfortunately, it was after the fact, and Tevin shouldn't have been the guy to have to go do that. But Tevin Jenkins saw a guy with his arms up in the air, remembered his training that he got in Pee Wee football when he had a freaking red sticker on his helmet, and he put somebody into the fucking ground. So like, that's something that I really like to see from Tevin. And that's something that I think is a lot of him responding to a lot of what you were talking about, Lucas. This is a very well coached team right now. This is something where I feel like when it comes to Bears pride, that's something that I like that you brought up, because it's something that in both games I've gone to this year, I've left the stadium with just this disgusting feeling in my fucking gut. Lucas, you saw how I left that Commanders game. I fucking beelined out of that stadium, and you couldn't find me for a fucking hour because I was just walking around fucking irate. Because it wasn't that we lost. It was just the way that we lost. It was that we got our lunch money taken by the fucking Washington Commanders. And I felt that when I was up in Lambeau too. Like, the biggest thing about that game in Lambeau that I feel like is resonating now is being able to go into a primetime game in a hostile environment that early in the season with that young of a team, with that first-year head coach, and getting to taste the feeling of that fucking disappointing. Getting to taste that entire stadium serenading you that the Bears still suck. Getting that taste of leaving on that team bus, of that entire fan base looking at you and looking you as a fucking, like, just a couple steps below the franchise you just played. That was not the Chicago Bears we saw this week. That was a Chicago Bears team that felt those losses. That was a Chicago Bears team that actually fucking decided that we are not perfect. We are not a team that can just continue to move forward doing the exact same thing every single week. We cannot pound our head against the wall. We are not talented enough to do that. We are not talented enough to take plays off. We are not talented enough to not work hard every single day, no matter how devastating the loss is. And that's something that I feel like Matt Eberflus has injected in this fan base and this franchise. He is somebody who has come in and expected hard work, expected it, not want it, not hype up their guys when they make a good play. Like what do we hear in the press conference after the game, every single game, when somebody tries to highlight a good play that somebody makes? He's like, yeah, well, we're going to look at it on film, and we're going to hand out some hits, we're going to hand out some loaves, and we're going to keep working. You know, it's always work. Like I almost want to do a tally count of how many times Matt Eberflus brings up hard work, because that is what we saw. That is what happens when talent works hard. You win 33-14 against New England on the road. When you try to really effectively go out there, leave it all out on the line, that's how you end up beating a guy like Bill Belichick. Like if Eberflus would have walked in there, just given the whole full respectful route of being worried about what Belichick was going to do, this would have either been a close game or we would have gotten our asses kicked. We went out there and we did what we wanted to do, regardless of what was across from us. And that just kind of shows the alpha mentality that we have moving forward. Dude.
That's, I mean, we've been
something
begging for it this
had.
season. Sometimes you just need to say, I'm better than you. Stop me. Stop me. You know what I mean? Like, well, I just feel like they played with an edge on offense that we haven't seen from this team ever, bro.
And even if you're more talented than me, even if you're more talented than me, work harder than me, play harder than me. And that's something we just have not seen for fucking years, dude.
Fucking nuts rumble, to be honest, just thinking about it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get you too excited over there, but like that's the shit I feel with this team, man. That's what I felt in this game. Like, this is why, like, even when we fell into a hole, I wasn't jumping off the Matt Eberflus wagon, because like it feels like there's something different with this guy. He's somebody who came in, and I said this before the show, Lucas. Like, he's somebody who, like, when he brought up bringing your track shoes to camp practices, when he brought up just how much these guys are going to go out there and work. Like I always thought, I'm like, dude, if this is something that's actually going to happen, if this isn't all just coach bullshit talk, like we have something here. And like, you can't convince me that these guys, this isn't one of the hardest working teams in the NFL. You can't. These guys are out there busting their fucking ass every single play, every single day at practice. This is a team that understands that they're not the most talented, but they're going to take on the world anyway. They're not going to win you 10 games, but they're going to be a tough fucking out every single week. And that's how you start a culture.
Yeah, no, again, I'm trying to tone down my optimism, but it's to go. And I get that the Patriots are not the Patriots of old, but like, still fucking Bill Belichick. You're still in Foxborough. That's not an easy environment to go in. And it's one thing if they would have stole a win, right? Like, kept it close, someone muffed a punt at the end of the game and they were able to cover it up and kick a field goal to ice it. Like, yeah, that would be cool. But this was a different, they handled business from start to finish. Yeah, man. We had first quarter points, second quarter points, third quarter points, fourth quarter points. Didn't matter. We scored in every single quarter as an offense. That's unbelievable.
We dominated time possession. We converted on first down. We converted on third down. Like, we did everything we had to do, man. Like, in all honesty, and like, if we're gonna get a little bit more to the schematics part of it, because I feel like we're getting really short breathed meatball, like pounding Eberfuel right now, and I love that too. But like, when you really look at what they did on offense to succeed, I guess before we jump into defense here eventually, like, Belichick talked about the entire week about how strong of a running team this is, about how good David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert have been this year, about how this team run blocking is a lot better than they get credit for, because everyone focuses on their pass blocking and whatnot. They even brought up how effective Justin is as a running quarterback as well. Like, those were all the things they were focusing on throughout the entire week. So like, the number one thing we did on offense, and Luke Getsy deserves all the fucking credit in the world for this, is he decided, well, Bill is basically daring us to beat us with the pass. let's start out hot with the pass. Like, let's beat him with the pass right off the bat. And let's have that running game that he respects so much to lean back on when he has to start respecting the passing game. And that's
And
exactly what we
they
saw. And
did
that's why
that.
and that's why we
That's
had these methodical drives, Lucas. Like, we held on to the ball for long periods of time, and we churned the ball down the field. Like, we had those chunk plays every once in a while, but that's when they would start loading up and starting to respect us on the outside, and that's where we were going to get those good matchups on the interior, and that's where we started getting those gashes from Khalil Herbert, Dave Montgomery, and even the design runs from Justin Fields. So, like, as far as like, I challenged this team in the pregame to play a chess match with Bill Belichick, because you have to, and we won that chess match from the very start.
yeah. No, definitely like the aggressive start, but I think I figured it out with Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery. David Montgomery, no, I'm sorry. Khalil Herbert is going to get you more yards when the blocking is there. David Montgomery will get you more yards when the blocking is not there. I think that's the biggest difference, because while Herbert had some really nice plays and he played well, I'll give him his flowers again. Like, he played very well and he was a big part of that win. Montgomery just runs with a different kind of purpose. There was one or two plays where it was just like he should have been stopped dead in his tracks at 1 yard gain tops, and just absolutely carried people with him. So I mean, dude, it's a great 1-2 punch. I don't see why we wouldn't keep utilizing it and try to utilize it for as much as possible, because it gives me a much younger, not the same, but like Herbert's giving me a Tony Pollard feel, where it's like when he comes in, good things fucking happen, whether it's in the running game. In the running game, yeah, like he does it. He does very good things when he's in the game. So I can't keep trying to take away credit from the guy because he's playing at a very high level. But I just feel like using them as a 1-2 punch really keeps a defense honest, and it keeps them off balance, which is huge for this chess match, this theoretical chess match that Duke keeps mentioning. Another thing too, I mean, we have to mention, it wasn't all perfect. Justin Fields had a couple really rough sacks that could have taken us out of field goal range or out of scoring range. But the dude just fucking bailed us out with his legs all day long. I mean, you want to talk, it was not a perfect offensive performance by any means, but they did utilize Justin Fields' skill set a lot more. They utilized their receiver skill set a lot more. And another thing too, you want to talk about setup plays. This is something we've been talking about for a while. Velus Jones, I think, only had 12 snaps, but was directly involved in some form of like distraction. So he didn't get any touches or anything like that, but you could tell, like, just his speed and stuff like that, other teams feel it and have to respect it. So even if he doesn't get a ton of production, you're able to see, I think Adam Hoge tweeted it out. And I went back and looked, and I believe that Pettis breakoff run was set up by Velus being on the field. I could be wrong though. So
well
I'm sorry. I just want to say a couple more things. At the end of the day, dude, Justin Fields was the man of the hour. Like, he did a lot in that game, and I feel like we've talked about everyone else but Justin Fields, and we usually only talk about Justin Fields, and it's in a negative light, or at least in what he needs to improve on, not negative, but definitely, like, we're pointing out some of the issues he had. Like, he made a lot of fucking plays, whether it was with his legs or with his arm. The Cole Kmet play, I mean, just an absolute fucking dime on the run with someone coming down ready to crack his skull. The screenplay gets guys he pump fakes, gets guys to jump, adjusts his arm, throws the ball, takes an absolute fucking bomb of a hit, and gets up like nothing happened. I mean, he's a tough motherfucking kid, and he's the biggest reason why our offense started going. I know that they did more things to help him, and he needs that help, but that's not a criticism. That's just fucking put the guy in a good position. They did it, and we were able to see significant growth. I think this was his best game of the year.
Well, I think the biggest thing with Justin this week that I really liked, and it has to do with scheme, but it also has to do with him being able to deliver a ball there. But we were using the sidelines a lot more than I feel like we usually do. I feel like we've been trying to go over the top, and we've been trying to go towards the middle of the field. Unfortunately, not with Cole Kmet, but regardless, this is a good point I'm trying to make. Like, I feel like we were using sidelines to our advantage quite a bit. There was three instances in particular One was a Darnell Mooney play on 3rd and 10, I believe, for a first down that caught him right on the sidelines, just in front of the chains. I believe that was in the second quarter on that last drive before they scored the field goal. I thought that was an incredible throw. I thought that's somewhere where just right where it had to be. I have to go back to that Cole Kmet play as well. That was just an incredible back shoulder throw, being able to throw it that far down the field. It was in a spot where only Cole could have got it. It was set up to where that ball, most defenders are going to expect that to be thrown on the inside shoulder. Instead, Justin threw it on the back, and Kmet made an incredible adjustment to the ball. And that's a great play. And that shows the type of chemistry that they have that needs to be used a little bit more. Another sideline look that I really liked was a spot where Ectomary St. Brown kind of found a spot in the zone and just sat. And Justin was rolling left.
Ripped
and
it.
It was an incredible play. Justin was rolling left. Everything else kind of broke down. Ectomary did a really good job just sitting in his spot in that broken spot in the zone. And he just delivered a freaking dart right on the sideline to move the chains and keep that offense going. And that's something I really want to see to continue moving forward, man. I really think that's
what was the third down conversions?
Right off the top of my head. All right.
Dude. And that's another thing too. You saw different levels.
So we were 11 for 18 on third down. That has to easily be our best percentage of the year, and that has to be the most third downs we fucking converted all year in a game.
And we didn't make it too fucking complex on some of these 3rd and inches. Just had your quarterback get behind center and QB sneak it like every other fucking normal successful team in the world. Didn't try to reinvent the wheel or anything like that. So just solid. But I think another thing too is we saw different levels to the offense, right? Like we saw them in a 2-minute drill. We saw them, hey, we're going to go faster. We're going to score now. And then the most encouraging, the bleeding of the clock in the 4th quarter, knowing you had the game in control, them knowing that you were going to run the ball, but they're just so fucking tired and discouraged because you've just beat them down to a pulp that you're getting 6-7 yards of carry and converting multiple first downs, bleeding clock. I mean, that was beautiful. The Bears could have, if the Patriots wanted to score a little bit and make it a little bit more interesting, the Bears could have easily put up 47 like that. And that's not even a fucking exaggeration. They kneeled it at the 1-yard line. Peyton Manning was pissed about it.
Yeah, no, and you're right. And honestly, I feel like we were a little bit more aggressive with our field goal strategy. If New England's scoring a little bit more,
that's another thing too. We said, fucking take the points. Like I know we said this last week, but we found out the offense isn't good enough to not take the points. And I think those are times we saw Eberflus and Getsy really communicating together a ton. This is the situation. This is what I want you to do. Make sure we get in field goal range. I mean, we took a couple really bad sacks. That one that was before half where they had to call the timeout, and then Justin Fields just has a different level of speed, bro. Like looked like he was dead to rights in the pocket, just slips his ass out, and by the time he decides, like your pursuit angle is completely fucked once he makes a cut. If you're in the open field with him, one-on-one, you don't have a shot. His speed's just next level, bro, and still gets it out of bounds, has the right, has the smarts to do it. It was like a 2nd and 17 or 3rd and 17. Just fucking unbelievable shit. Like really made plays. And there's some things he could have capitalized more. If he hits that throw to fucking Darnell Mooney, I know it's a tight throw. I know he's not wide open, but if he hits that throw, like now we're talking about this game in a Justin Herbert ascending light, Patrick Mahomes ascending light. We're talking about like
you're referring to the throw in the 3rd quarter to the right corner of the end zone, correct?
To Mooney, yeah.
Third down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that was an incredible. I mean, he can make that throw. We've seen him make similar throws to that, especially to Darnell Mooney. I feel like that was something where he might have got a little iffy on it at the very last second and decided to sail it a little bit because the coverage was fairly tight. You do want to trust a guy like Darnell Mooney to be able to break off a coverage on that. And maybe if he has like another 5 yards to work with, potentially he tries to deliver that on a little bit tighter of a line. But it seems like where the coverage was, he just didn't want a chance making a mistake and kind of just decided to sail it, which honestly, that's a good thing though, because
I'll take that.
Because Justin has had times where he has been a little bit aggressive on throws like that. We saw that. I always go back to the Houston game, man, where there was just 2 egregious, over aggressive throws on plays that were there. If you would have just, given it a little bit better of a ball to your receiver instead of just trying to force something there the second you see it. But I do also think that the sacks working against Justin, dude, if it's wet like that, go put a fucking glove on, because like the ball was just on the ground way too much for how
Yes.
good you were playing. And that is what resulted in us losing a lot of yardage on some of those snaps, because like it can't happen. It sets you up to make some incredible play after that. And that's what we saw on that 3rd and 17, where it's like, you're obscene, dude. Like that you shouldn't be allowed to do this as a quarterback, but like do yourself some favors, man. Make that 17-yard gain well past the line going into the red zone. You know what I mean? Instead of having to hit insurmountable situations like that where you're fumbling the football. I mean, and I understand the weather, but like, dude, go put a glove on. Like, I know we've seen you wear gloves before, Justin. We know you're not too big for it. But yeah, no, overall, dude, I really think the offense did a great job, man. I don't think there's any other way to put it. I did like the Herbert Montgomery thing that you brought up. I do think Herbert, like, just being able to cut into a hole, like all he needs is a little bit of daylight. Like that's my biggest thing. If I'm thinking of anything with Khalil Herbert, it's like the second he sees a hole open up, because he'll kind of sit in the backfield, and the second that hole, it's like the first one cut. That's when he gets his fucking explosion off the ball, and that's where he gets moving. And honestly, Pollard's a pretty good example. But I really think that ability to have that one cut type runner and have an absolute bruiser in David Montgomery who can do a little bit of everything. It's a disgusting combo to have on offense, and it sets the tone in the box, man. You can just chip away at a defense, and once they start respecting the run, you see what Justin Fields can do with it. So. But anyway, I guess kind of moving forward, because we have talked about the offense quite a bit, and I feel like we really do need to start giving this defense some credit, because holy hell, did they show up in nearly every single aspect of the game. Even when Bailey Zappi decided to come in and decided that he was going to be a social media legend and try to take over this game and try to give him all the momentum in the world, and he almost did. But we locked it up, man, and we got really fucking serious about stopping the run, specifically making Zappy actually have to beat us instead of this methodical, Zappy beat us. No, actually
Yeah.
forcing that guy to beat us and seeing that he is still a 4th-round rookie quarterback. And I mean, you look at Roquan Smith, dude, you look at the type of game he had, 8 total tackles or 12 total tackles, 8 solo with a sack and a tackle for a loss, like all over the field. Was not a guy who was getting beat at any spot, like a guy who was flat out taking over the game at certain points in the game, especially in the run game. It was somebody who definitely took that challenge of where we are as a run defense seriously. And obviously, dude, you look at Jaquan Brisker and freaking Kyler Gordon, 2 guys who got their first career interceptions. And Jaquan Brisker, one of the better one-handed interceptions you're ever going to see.
Had 4
After that,
turnovers, dude.
yeah, no, we were all over the field. I mean, I will give that fumble. That guy
I don't
just
give a
flat out
fuck. He was
dropped
still
it
in
for New England.
position.
I'll absolutely take it. But like, that was one of the worst like handoff drops I think I've ever seen. Like, it was flat out terrible. But it did
Well,
show how bad the elements were.
yeah, they're running zone read with their fucking wide receiver too. I mean, he's not Debo Samuel. Who was it? Like Jacoby Myers? Like, what
Yeah,
are we doing
no, and
here?
that's
Trent
Bill.
Brown was the MVP for the Pats.
That's Bill definitely trying to get a little cute. And yeah, we did take advantage of the holding calls as well, because they hit a point where they just were not wanting us to get to the quarterback. Travis Gibson was getting held the entire game. Obviously, Bill, and I said it in the last show, Bill respects Robert Quinn, so they obviously made a point to kind of wrap him up a few times as well. I mean, we didn't. I will say, if I'm going to critique anything on the defensive side of the football, we did not get to the quarterback as much as I wanted to. We only finished with 1 sack. But we were doing everything else well. Coverage was on point, even on kind of the broken play to Jacoby Myers
That
that
was
I talked
fucked.
about earlier. I mean, that's just one of those things where that was schemed to fucking pristine. And even that Devontae Parker throw, you got to give Zappy credit. That was just a fucking dime ball. You know what I mean? So it wasn't perfect, but there were definitely, it was definitely a fucking statement that this defense made, that we're not just a pass defense. We are an all-around unit when we really want to be. And that's something that I want to see to continue moving forward.
Yeah, we saw some splash plays. I mean, Justin Jones played pretty well, actually. He's been a lot better than his first few weeks. He looks like he's coming on. You
Armand
can't say
Watts as
him.
well.
Armand Watts looked decent. I mean, 4 turnovers, man. 4 turnovers. But again, when you look at the future, those are 2 very, very good players we have at that we got in the second round this year. So you got to give Ryan Poles his flowers there. Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon are both I mean, Jaquan Brisker, I think, is playing on a different level. And I think he's able to play a lot more free right now and is able to be a lot more involved in the running and passing game. So you're able to see him more. But man, dude, he's everything that this defense has been needing for the last 4.5 years, 5 years, like since Amos left, but his trajectory, like right now, I think he is better than Adrian Amos. So what can he become? I have no idea. I know Amos is a good player.
Would you dare say he's everything I said he was going to be, Lucas?
I mean, you hyped him up. We can pull up the clip of you screaming, looking like that one fat kid meme that's like, ah. But either way,
I was outrageously happy over that. But anyway, continue.
I mean, four turnovers, dude. What else can you say about that? You only let up, what was it? Was it 14 total points, or did they score again?
No, it was only 14.
14 total.
33 to 14.
Unbelievable. Like, they beat the shit out of them. You can't ask for much more. You got thrown a big curveball in the middle of the game. They had a same thing with I think the offense really helped out by responding after that second score and interception. But overall, like, they locked it down. It's the Flus adjustments, man. He's always making fucking adjustments. He's always watching. So for them to kind of rebound quickly, even before the half started, because they could have let up another touchdown before the half. They didn't. They lock it down. They had 2 of their turnovers then. So, yeah, man. I mean, they're a good defense, like a very good defense. And I know that the Bears are going to be playing a very good defense in the Dallas Cowboys, but I mean, you're talking about Eddie Jackson's already been an All-Pro. Robert Quinn, if I'm not mistaken, has been an All-Pro. Roquan Smith has been an All-Pro. Jalen Johnson is getting the respect he deserves finally this year. I don't know if he'll get named to an All-Pro team. He's been on some fucking really cluster fires of teams that affects your Pro Bowl voting. But I mean, I think you got 4 Pro Bowl minimum caliber players on your back end. Like, they're playing at a very high level since really the Washington game. Their run fits were a lot better. They got exposed a little bit there. But just in general, Roquan Smith, how much is that of a backfire for you to not extend the guy and then he's going to lead the league in tackles? Like, anyone that thinks Roquan's payday has gotten smaller because he got trucked by fucking Carson Wentz, who's like 6'5", 240 or whatever.
Poorly packed duffel bag. Just a giant poorly packed duffel bag.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you were to fill a duffel bag with bricks and attach it to legs, that's Carson Wentz. So, I mean, if you want to look at his couple plays where he gets, blocked by AJ Dillon or trucked by Carson Wentz, that's fine. But you're sadly mistaken. The guy is going to get paid like a top tier linebacker because that's what the fuck he is. And he's showing up more and more each week. He's getting faster and faster each week. It's just, you can clip up that one play of AJ Dillon blocking him. I don't give a fuck. The stats don't lie. You don't lead the league in tackles by accident.
What more does he have to prove, dude? Like, what more does he have to prove? Not only is he leading in tackles, because I've heard a lot of people jump to the whole, like, Blake Martinez defense. It's like, oh, Blake Martinez led the league in tackles. It's like, yeah, well, Blake Martinez is dog shit in coverage, something that Roquan Smith is not. Dude, Roquan Smith is allowing a 52.6 rating right now. Dude, he's allowed only 143 yards as being like one of the main fucking coverage linebackers in this scheme. Like, we sat in nickel this entire game. Like, he was not getting a ton of help, getting extra freaking like safeties or linebackers in the middle of the field. Like, it was a lot of Roquan kind of playing that. And that's a lot of why we run nickel, because Roquan is that type of linebacker that can cover a lot of space on the inside, where a Nicholas Moreau can worry a little bit more about the run coverage than a guy like Roquan Smith. That's why he usually moves to the strong side in those nickel formations. So, like, I don't understand, like, what more you need to see from Roquan. Like, I don't know why people expect that. Like, it's like the cornerback argument for me. People like to do this thing where they only gauge cornerbacks on the interceptions that they get or the turnovers that they force, and they do not look at how much they actually impact a game. They do not look at how much an offensive coordinator will avoid them because of how much they shut down the number one wide receiver, how much a quarterback, even a guy like freaking Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, will avoid the number one wide receiver because they're getting covered by a guy like Darrelle Revis. You know what I mean? Like, Darrelle Revis wasn't a guy who set the world on fire in interceptions or turnovers, but did anybody ever doubt how great he was? No. So why is anybody doubting how great Roquan Smith has been this season? Teams want nothing to do with him. They will very obviously run away from him. They will run to the strong side to avoid him. They will fucking throw at anybody else to not throw at him.
There was a lot of plays where he was having to come down backside. Yeah, no, I actually that's a very good
You
point.
think a guy like Bill doesn't respect Roquan Smith? You think a guy like Bill isn't telling fucking his poorly packed duffel bag of an offensive coordinator to not fucking run at Roquan Smith? Like, come on, dude. It's not rocket science. Like, everybody in every team in the league respects Roquan Smith except for pockets of the Chicago Bears fan base, and it drives me insane.
Yeah,
and Ryan
no,
Pohl.
it's fucking wild to me, to be honest. And I believe he's leading all inside linebackers, considered inside linebackers or linebackers in general. I believe he's got 2 interceptions, which is the most by any. So his payday is going up, contrary to what people may have told you with their 12-second cut up of him getting blown up. He is going to get paid. Yeah, man. You want to do players of the game?
I didn't mean to go too long there.
No,
But yeah, I guess kind of just some closing thoughts, I guess, on the defensive side of the football, because again, there was just a lot of things I really liked. I thought Travis had a pretty good game. Like I said, he was getting held quite a bit. Even Robert Quinn getting involved on that fumble play was pretty good.
Kendall
Justin Jones,
Vildor
Ramon
is
Watts.
silently having a very, very good stretch of games here.
Dude, in all honesty, the less you hear about Kendall Vildor, the better. It's kind of similar to how Kyler Gordon's been the last 2 games. We didn't hear a lot about Kyler Gordon, which means it was a good thing because he wasn't getting gashed. He wasn't getting beat. And, perhaps that's these guys kind of adjusting to this, new 4-3 kind of cover 2, Tampa 2 type mentality, which isn't something that, everybody's kind of bred into. But I feel like they're really just they're running in stride right now, because even if you look at a guy like Brisker, even as me being probably the biggest Brisker guy from the start, and as me being somebody who loves Jaquan Brisker to this day and can admit that he's playing at a fucking insanely high level right now, it even took him a little bit of time to get adjusted to coverages in the system. Like it takes a little bit of time, and it's going to take some guys a little bit longer. Kendall Vildor came into the NFL and learned a completely different system in the secondary than he's playing right now. So while I was really hard on Vildor from the start, it is very promising to see this direction that he's gone in, and it shouldn't be too surprising when you see it with Kyler Gordon either, because he was a rookie. He's coming into something completely different, and he's playing both inside and outside, which is a tall task, but it seems to be a task that's starting to pay off a little bit when we're looking at results.
Another great sign another great sign too that you have a coaching staff that knows how to teach, because we didn't see a lot of growth from players throughout seasons or from year to year under the previous regime. We didn't see guys getting better. We saw guys that came in and had good rookie years and then continued to be just that good. We are now starting to see guys ascend in week. Fucking beautiful thing.
Well, it just seems like it's a full collaborative effort, especially on the defensive side of the football. Like, where I'll give Eberflus credit to where, like, he doesn't stick his nose into either side of the ball too much. I mean, he is still a defensive coach, and Alan Williams is a guy who was catching praise from Peyton Manning quite a bit in the booth. You know what I mean? So, like, there's something there as well, and I feel like that's a name we don't say enough. Alan Williams has done a pretty damn good job as a defense coordinator, and from everything that Eberflus has said, he's kind of handed him the keys of the Ferrari. You know what I mean? So, like, this is a situation where, like, we can give Eberflus credit, and Eberflus is going to get credit with the wins and losses and the mentality that this team comes out with every week. But the scheme on defense has been really well, and in all honesty, that's Alan Williams calling that scheme out there. He's the one in the headphones with Roquan Smith on every single play. Even if Roquan can't hear you, even though Roquan might not be able to hear his haters, Alan Williams can hear everything, and he deserves a lot of credit for how the defense has been playing as well. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I guess let's do something a little bit different, Lucas. So I would say, besides like a Justin Fields or Roquan Smith, pick an offensive player, pick a defensive player, and then pick an MVP for me. Who's the guy that stood out on offense, who's the guy that stood out on defense, and then who is the best player of the game. I'll even give you Fields or Roquan on that
one. No, my MVP is Jaquan Brisker. I think he had the largest impact on the game. I think I think people are really not understanding how well he is playing. I get the interception, like highlight level play, fucking incredible, jumped out of the air, poetic justice, one-handed it. But you look at him, he's filling the exact role you need him to fill. He's making not there was one play I want to say, the one reception he gave up, or he gave up one or two, where it might have been a tight end, and he put that motherfucker in the dirt. Like, he is a tone setter. He comes out and pops people. I believe he was second in the team with tackles with 8. I believe had the interception as well. So I do think that he's my MVP of the game because Roquan always brings it. We need someone to step up like that to take us to the next level, and he did just that. I think it was his best game by a wide margin. For my offensive player of the game, I got to go with Khalil Herbert, man. I is someone who is a known Khalil Lambert. Jeremy Herbert. Khalil Herbert.
Or maybe you should just kill that fucking nickname already.
Yeah, no, but honestly, he in my opinion, when he came in, the most good things happened. It was able to spark things. They were able to utilize him in single back on some toss concepts and some concepts that he was able to break loose, make really big gains, put us in good position on second down, put us in good position on third down where we're able to QB sneak it for the first, right? And I thought Montgomery had a very solid game as well, but I just feel like similar to the debate we have with Zeke versus, I think Montgomery's playing at a higher level than Zeke right now. So don't get me mistaken, but similar kind of roles in the offense right now. Like, I just feel like Herbert kind of has that Pollard effect. When he comes on the field, the chains move, and it's a very good thing. And then on defense, man, there's so many to pick from. I'm going to give it, yeah, I'll go defense, Roquan Smith. There's no one that played, better than those two guys, Jaquan Brisker and Roquan Smith.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good list. It is kind of hard with how well both Roquan and Brisker played to really pick anybody else on either defense or the MVP. I guess I'll do offense, defense, and then I'll do my MVP. Offense, man, I got to give it to Tevin Jenkins because I think he was a guy.
It's a great choice.
He was snatching souls in the run game.
He puts a lot of people on the ground, man.
Like, I brought up, I get a kick out of people who maybe were saying he was like soft in like the off season or like in the training camp or whatnot. Cause like, I don't know any offensive lineman on our team that really in the past few years who plays as violently as Tevin Jenkins. He is somebody who is like going every single play to try to kill somebody. And I think why I have to give him my offensive nod is it was very obvious that he was playing with something. Like, something was going on. He was a little slow to get up on a couple plays, and he's had a couple of those this year. And I think he's been battling something the last few weeks that's we're not seeing on the injury report. But I think it's something where he kind of understands the challenge in front of him. He's hitting a point where it's like, I'm not giving this spot up for fucking anything, and I'm going to play through it. Like I saw that Ben Jones and Mike Vrabel thing where they were walking in the locker room and Vrabel gave him a big old hug because Ben Jones has been obviously playing through injury. And like, I feel like Eberflus at some point, like, I don't even care if it's on camera, but like, dude, give that guy a fucking fist bump or something because it's very obvious that he's just out there fucking battling, giving absolutely everything he has. Maybe he doesn't bring it in practice, but he's a guy when the fucking lights turn on, he brings it every single game.
And Allen Iverson fan, that's all.
And no PFF stats are going to change my mind that Tevin Jenkins is a good passer.
Another great reason to neglect PFF. Sam Mustipher had the highest pass blocking grade out of anyone on the Bears offensive line.
Yeah, disgusting. Yeah. And they gave Tevin Jenkins the second lowest, which again, unless I'm just completely like forgetting everything I know about football, Tevin's been pretty good.
I guess if putting people on the ground is a bad thing.
Yeah, apparently. No. So on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to give it to the Rook. I'm going to give it to Kyler Gordon because first career interception. He's somebody who has heard all the talk. Like I wanted to pick Brisker, but
I almost went with Gordon.
I kind of had a feeling you were going to pick Brisker on me, so like I'll let you have that. But like Kyler Gordon has kind of had the opposite experience throughout his first few games that Jaquan Brisker has. Like, people have been high on Brisker since like the first like preseason game when they kind of saw like, oh, this guy's rangy and he hits. Like, I love that, and the Bears always love those types of safeties. You know what I mean? Like, you always think of like a guy like Mike Brown, but I think Kyler Gordon has been dragged through the mud by us. Even us on this podcast, we've dragged Kyler Gordon through the mud. We've talked about how he has just not been producing. We gave it time, obviously, because there's growing pains with being a rookie. But like, I was
corner especially.
Yeah, like I was getting Artie Burns flashbacks too often when I was watching him play football, and that disgusts me to no end. But Kyler Gordon, the last 3 weeks has just really fucking shown he has it, and that interception was just kind of the accumulation of everything he's been dealing with so far this year. And man, I don't know if anybody was happier to see it than I was, man. I was fucking stoked. And as far as MVP goes, total MVP, man, I know it's generic, but I gotta give it to Justin Fields, dude. This was his day. It was his day. Lucas. I like I said earlier in the show, I still want to see like things improve with Justin, but like you saw everything that he has on display. You saw why this team believes in him. You saw why he was traded up for to get with a first round pick, even if it was by Ryan Pace. Like you see, like this is the talent that people are talking about when they're like, Justin's had a rough start, but like this is why we fuck with him because like there is something here if you're patient enough with it. And yeah, man, I really think like it felt like it was the game where it's like, yeah, Justin's here. Like this is who Justin Fields is going to be. I mean, we're going to see that. Hopefully, we're going to see that improvement, that version of him improve. But it was really promising. But yeah. So we're going to be back. What, Thursday, Friday, something like that. Me and Lucas will get it figured out. We're going to preview that.
Probably
Cowboys.
Friday's better.
Yeah, probably. I don't like to make plans on people's Fridays, But we'll probably end up getting that rolled out on Friday. Me and Lucas don't have any fucking plans anywhere. We're just complete and utter losers. Actually, I'm gonna have to talk to you about that after the show. Regardless, anyway, so we're gonna talk about Dallas Cowboys coming up. That's gonna be a huge game for us. It's gonna be a huge test. I don't want to get like really too far into it at all, but like they have a really scary defense. Dan Quinn is a guy that we do have to acknowledge was somebody who was very much in the running for the Chicago Bears head coaching job, and he is a guy who has been delivering on his defense on the defense side of the football. And you see what he does with a guy like Micah Parsons. You see a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence having a resurgence type year. It's something you definitely need to be prepared for. And it's something that I feel like we can definitely roll into Dallas with a lot of momentum with Matt Eberflus being completely ready for the moment. Because if you can beat Belichick in New England, you're pretty prepared for a lot of things. And I feel like Eberflus took a huge step this past week as well. So we're going to see how that all works out. And honestly, defense with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, Dak Prescott, like they're going to have their hands full as well. So it's going to be a pretty good test. But anyway, that's been it. Lucas, unless you have anything else, this has been the Barely There podcast. If you enjoyed it, be sure to check us out on YouTube, subscribe over there. Comment section was popping. Spag, Ed, Alap, all you guys, man. I appreciate you guys all chiming in, man. I always do. I think we even got a new guy, DeBoss7696. I don't know who that is, but hopefully you sub, buddy, or if you made it this far, we appreciate you chiming in. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple. We might actually have a 5-star review on Apple now. We're gonna have to go take a look at that.
It's quite possible.
Some olive branches were passed out. Very, very, very cool stuff has happened in the last week with the Barely There podcast. But anyway,
olive branch.
But anyway, I'm Duke Coughlin. You can follow me on Twitter at that pod guy Duke. As always, that's Lucas Perfetti, the Ayatollah of Cap Cole. You can follow him at Lucas Perfetti 46. Sure to follow Pod at the Barely There pod. And we've been Barely There. Bear down.
Bear down.